Costa and his opponent Christopher Szymanski. This should be an incredible matchup here at the Pokemon World Championships.
Oh, baby. All right.
Hear the crowd. We're all pumped up, ready to go.
Yeah, man. I'm excited. They're excited. You know, Christopher Szymanski is going to be playing a, I believe, Darkrai Garbodor deck. Darkrai Garbodor, which has been kind of like the stalwart deck of this year, and I mean even last year, against Igor Costa's Virizion Genesect deck.
Right, so we've seen Darkrai Garbodor last year. Now we have the new edition of Yveltal EX, which is probably the most powerful card in the format. But now we're going to start off with a Roller Skates. Flips tails, though, so we won't be able to draw those 3 cards.
I was about to say, what an incredible way to start the trading card game portion. With a Roller Skates, unfortunately for him, he got a tail, so he does not get to draw the 3 cards. But still a pretty cool way to start the game. It's interesting to me that the Roller Skates are starting to get played a lot more. I mean, we saw them at Nationals about a month ago, and now we're seeing them here.
Yeah, and you know, this is kind of a classic matchup of the format this year. We have seen Darkrai Garbodor or Yveltal Garbodor going up against Virizion Genesect basically all season, and that's kind of the matchup we have here. It's just kind of cool to see it all the way at the World Championships. We've been seeing this all season, and we're going to see it once again.
Exactly. An N from Christopher Szymanski starts off the game. He does get a double colorless energy on his Yveltal as well as a muscle band, so it looks like he's going to be applying a lot of pressure early on.
Yeah, that's a very scary opening. Of course, Yveltal EX has that incredible attack. Evil Ball does 20 plus 20 for each energy attached to both active Pokemon, but Igor's going to set him back right away with that Enhanced Hammer.
That was huge. An Enhanced Hammer on the very first turn of the game makes it so basically Igor's the one that starts the game here, assuming he gets any sort of a start, and he does play an N himself. So this is very similar to pretty much, I mean, almost all of the games that we see in Pokemon nowadays. Just N after N at the beginning of the game, and then all of a sudden it stops being played, and then it dominates games at the end of the game as well.
Oh, yeah. And, you know, these players have a little bit of an unorthodox list, both of them. And at this level of competition, sometimes, you know, you change a few cards in your deck, add something unusual, because you do need to separate yourself. Every player is very, very good at this stage, so you try to get a little bit of an edge, adding in some unusual cards. We see a couple Enhanced Hammer in Igor's list, along with a line of Drifblim, and of course, Christopher has those Roller Skates. So both of these players stepping outside the box a little bit.
Yeah. He does play a Professor's Letter to get 2 grass energies into his hand, so he's obviously from the very first turn. Now, he'd ideally get to attach these energies to a Virizion. That way he can start powering up his other Pokemon. Now, I believe he's probably just going to be forced to attach manually to the Genesect unless, well, he's playing an Ultra Ball, so maybe he will actually fetch a Virizion and start attaching to it instead.
Right. Usually with this Virizion Genesect deck, you like to open up with that Virizion EX. It has not only an incredible ability in Verdant Wind, but Emerald Slash allows you to do 50 damage and then search for 2 grass energy, attach them to one of your bench Pokemon so that you can power up Genesect EX. So they have great synergy together. Obviously, we've been seeing this deck from the start of the season, and it has survived all sorts of things to become playable even at the World Championships.
Did I just see what I think I saw?
Yeah, Chris just passed the turn here. Not a very good start from him. Seemed like a very strong one, but now he's kind of puttered out.
Chris literally just drew his card and immediately passed the turn. He went from having a potentially dominant start to being in a lot of trouble because, oh my goodness, we see a Sky Arrow Bridge get played, which means that the Genesect gets to retreat for free, and now we do see an incredible amount of energy generation from this Virizion.
Yeah, this is exactly what Igor wants to see. He gets that Emerald Slash off with no resistance at all from Christopher, and that Trubbish is going to get hit for 50 damage. Not the way Christopher wanted to start off this match.
I really can't stress just how important this kind of a start is for Igor. He's going to not only put pressure on his opponent, we do see a counter to the Sky Arrow Bridger, but not only will he put pressure on his opponent, but he's going to set himself up to be able to just have such a strong late and mid game that I really can't see the Darkrai Garbodor deck being able to like put up with this kind of pressure.
Right, we do see the red signal from Genesect EX. When you attach a Plasma Energy from your hand to Genesect EX, you get to drag one of your opponent's Pokemon off the bench. So he's going to bring that Yveltal EX into the active spot since there's already 20 damage on that bench Trubbish, but he also gets the G-Booster, that A-Spec card, which allows his Genesect EX to do 200 damage. So he should be able to get a knockout here on this Yveltal EX if he wants.
What an incredible turn. He does get to, I mean, I'm going to assume he's going to retreat and knock out this Yveltal EX. We only see a Trubbish left with 10 HP, 20 HP, and That's it. That's all he's got left.
Now, Christopher does have a Keldeo EX in his hand. Now, it is weak to grass, so that's not a Pokemon he wants to put down. Just one more red signal and a Megalo Cannon can hit Keldeo EX for 200, and then Trubbish for 20, and the game could be over just like that.
A Lysander is all that Chris can muster up.
And he's just going to pass the turn with the Trubbish active. If Igor can attack at all, this first game is over.
He would need to have some sort of like a Sky Arrow Bridge here. I believe that's what he needs. But, I mean, he can do it. It's not out of the realm of possibility.
We also see something unusual in Igor's deck list, 3 Chorus Machine. Usually we see maybe 1 or 2 of these in a Virizion Genesect deck, but Igor is a very aggressive player, playing 3 Chorus Machine, and we're going to see if he can draw an Energy Switch or a Sky Arrow here. And we see a Chorus Machine. But are there any Plasma Energy left?
A Tool Scrapper.
He's going to discard his own tool. It looks like he has a bicycle in his hand. So he's just playing out as many cards as he can, trying to get the win right here. It's right in reach.
There was no more Plasma Energy in his deck.
Oh, my goodness.
So the Chorus Machine does not end the game, as exciting as that would have been.
Igor is really digging deep into his deck. You're trying to find something. Here's the bicycle.
Switch or Sky Arrow.
Another failed Chorus Machine.
Chorus Machine.
Will that Trubbish with 20 HP actually survive this turn?
I can't imagine it. No way. Another bicycle, 2 more cards. Oh, my goodness.
Really? Is he going to survive? Yes, he passes the turn, and Trubbish survives. How in the world did that happen?
1 more card for Chris.
And it looks like he drew a supporter finally.
It was a Chorus, I believe.
Yeah, so maybe a door opens for Christopher at this point. Igor just burned through tons of resources trying to get the win right there. You saw he played that Professor Juniper discarding his hand, and now he's running low on resources, but Christopher doesn't really have much of a board position at this point.
Not to mention that he won't have very many resources himself because he's not going to be drawing very many cards.
Yeah, he's only getting 4 off of this Chorus. Not exactly what he's looking for, but hey, maybe if he gets some of those roller skates, something could happen.
A Dark Patch is pretty much the only card I saw there. Laser. He could put the Genesect to sleep.
And he does. I believe
it was a Tails, wasn't it?
Oh, was it a Tails? Sorry about that.
I think so.
How about this one?
All right, that one was ahead. Right?
Yeah, that one's ahead. All right, so he is asleep. And, I mean, of course, Virizion EX's Verdant Wind will neutralize that if the Genesect gets a grass energy on it. But perhaps this could be a big moment. And it looks like Genesect does stay asleep.
It stays asleep, so we would need to see a switch here.
Right, so here we go. Igor's turn. You know, he has to feel a little annoyed that he didn't get the win on the previous turn. Just a Trubbish staring you in the face. And he has to pass again. Wow, how quickly the tides have turned here.
He immediately passes the turn, and he gets a Tails again on his sleep flip, so he's going to be asleep coming into his following turn if he gets another Tails.
Wow, this definitely opened the door for Christopher at this point. Can he take advantage of this situation? Of course, there is a Genesect EX waiting on the bench with 3 energy and that G-Booster. But if he can manage to take that out of play, perhaps he can make a huge comeback in the first game when it looked like pretty much everything was lost.
Yeah, I mean, even when Igor missed the switch or the Sky Arrow, he still looked to be in complete dominance of the game. Christopher needed to top deck that exact turn, which he did. He got the Chorus, but then he also needed to have Igor stay asleep just to have a chance in this game. And lo and behold, it's all happening.
Yeah, now we do see a Darkness Energy go on to Yveltal EX and a Dark Patch. Let's see if he can get enough. Oh, actually, he has no Darkness in his discard
pile. He couldn't actually play the Dark Patch, by the way, so it's going to go right back to his hand. You can't play it because it's not a legal card to play.
Yeah, that could have been a big opportunity. Perhaps gotten a knockout on that Genesect EX with the Muscle Band. But looks like no. All right, finally we see a Grass Energy from Igor, though. He will wake up. He will not be poisoned anymore thanks to Virizion EX's Verdant Wind. And finally, it looks like the Genesect's going to come out to play again.
Verdant Wind does come into play. It rarely comes into play against Darkrai Garbodor, but this is one of those few situations where it does. And Igor's a very lucky man for having that happen.
It looks like he's trying to decide who to promote in this situation. A Megalo Cannon, not really doing much, but he's actually going to pass with the Virizion EX active, saying, you know what, I don't want my Genesect to get hit by some big Evil Ball from Yveltal EX. He's just going to sit on his lead, and hopefully it works out.
That is a lot of kind of patience here. Igor is showing the patience that a true champion really needs to show in situations like these. Most people, I mean, maybe even myself included, would just take the quick knockout, try to avoid any type of Garbodor shenanigans, but Igor says, no, I'm gonna play it safe. I don't want to get into a 3-card hand so early. I don't want to give you any type of openings with an Evil Ball.
Right.
I'm just going to pass here.
So we did see a roller skates heads this time from Christopher, drawing 3 cards off of that item card. Very powerful item card. And now he's got all sorts of cards to work with. It's just, can he take advantage of the situation that Igor kind of left the door open a little bit.
Ultra Ball from Chris. I'm going to assume he's probably going to get another Trubbish or another attacker. He does want to have, I think he still wants to have a Garbodor in play this game, right?
Yeah, it looks like he may have the second one prized. There's only 2 in his list. He had to discard 1 earlier with that Ultra Ball, so we may not be seeing Garbodor at all. And without Garbodor, that Garbotoxin shutting off Verdant Wind, it's really difficult to get knockouts on Genesect EX because you usually rely on that Hypnotoxic Laser.
Well, it doesn't matter. We see the greatest Pokemon in the game, whether it be, well, past, present, and future, Sableye himself, and he's going to get to junk hunt for any 2 items in his in his discard pile.
Yeah, Sableye has been featured in plenty of winning decks. Junk Hunt, just incredible. Recovering resources is always pretty good, but when you get to recover 2 item cards, many of which are extremely strong, as we saw him take, I believe, a Dark Patch and something else.
It was an Ultra Ball, I believe.
Okay, so yeah, just an incredible utility Pokemon, but now we see a red signal again from Genesect EX, dragging out Eviltal EX once again. Eviltal can't get any breathing room here. It's just getting knocked out every single time.
This is so insane. The amount of pressure that Igor's been able to put on these Eviltals is just incredible. Christopher has not been able to do anything when it comes to attacking for damage.
And 2 more prizes are taken off of that G-Booster, that powerful Ace-Spec card. I don't believe Christopher plays any Tool Scrapper or Startling Megaphone, so he cannot discard that G-Booster off Genesect. He's just going to have to knock it out, otherwise it's going to have 1 more big knockout.
I believe you're right. I do believe that there are no ways to get rid of this this G-Booster.
Looks like Christopher will scoop the first game. So Igor Costa, our 2012 world champion, is going to take down the first one. Wow, that was kind of a crazy back and forth first game. Igor kind of in control the whole time, maybe misstepped a little bit there, and then finally got to close out the game.
Now, I can't say for sure that...
Don't miss it. You're going to want to see it.
All right.
So we did see a mulligan for Igor. He did not have any basic Pokemon, so he showed his hand to his opponent. And now Christopher will start with 1 extra card. Of course, Christopher losing the first game will decide who goes first, and I'm going to assume that's him.
Yeah, you definitely want to go first in pretty much every game in this format. And a roller skates on the very first turn of the game. This time, I believe he gets heads, tails.
Hard to tell with some of those dice. You know, I can't make out the numbers too much, but that indeed was a tails. And
he's going for the dowsing machine.
Oh, man, he's going all in on the roller skates here. Dowsing machine recovering the roller skates. He's going to try to get heads this time. Looks like he might not have any options. And
okay, got rolled off the table.
Tails again.
Another tails.
And he has to pass the turn again. Oh, no. What a horrible start for Christopher.
Man, he plays roller skates.
I mean, that is roller skates in a nutshell, though. Sometimes it's going to draw you maybe 6 cards in a turn. Sometimes it's going to draw you 0. That's just the risk you take with that kind of card. Obviously, he was hoping to get at least 1 heads on that, but, I mean, now he's in a hole once again to start this game.
I've seen this twice now. Igor has a much better start at the start of the game than Christopher. I wonder if we're going to see kind of like a change of pace, or if, I mean, again, no supporters for Christopher. This is really what irks me when you see a match, with so much on the line, where you kind of just want to see a really good game between 2 players where they both get everything going for them. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's happening right now, and Christopher's going to need the top deck 1 more time.
Right. Now, he does play that Jirachi EX in his deck. If he can get an Ultra Ball to search that out, Stellar Guidance will allow him to search for a supporter card, so that is something in his arsenal. Gives him additional cards to draw, so he's not out of this yet. Of course, Igor can't put any real pressure on until the 2nd or 3rd turn, so until then, he'll be okay.
We also want to see some energies out of Igor at some point, too. He so far hasn't attached an energy, besides the one from Polar's Machine.
Yeah, now he's having a pretty strong opening here. He's got a lot of Pokemon in play, but one thing we haven't seen is an attachment to Virizion EX, so he won't be able to Emerald Slash next turn. So both players missing big time on their first turns. Oh, man.
We've seen this before, too.
Hypnotoxic Laser out of desperation. It's still no supporter for Christopher. Oh, this has to be heartbreaking for him.
I believe we see a Juniper in Igor's hand. You hate discarding resources over and over, but when your other option's in hand and your opponent's drawing dead, his hand's drawing dead, then you definitely want to just go with the Juniper here and kind of gamble a little bit that you won't have the that you won't miss those resources you discarded. But when your opponent's drawing off the top of the deck, you kind of want to take that gamble.
Yeah, now off of that Ultra Ball, we see one of the cool things in Igor's deck, that Driftblim with the Shadow Steel attack. It does 50 damage times the number of special energy cards in your opponent's discard pile. They may not come into play anytime soon, but who knows, in the future it might.
See another Pokemon come down from Christopher. That would be a Darkrai, and he just passes.
What a nightmare situation for Christopher. I mean, he has gotten this far in the World Championships, and now he's just not drawing anything at the absolute worst time. Igor's going to go with that Emerald Slash for 70 damage, powering up his Genesect EX on the bench. Sets it up perfectly for a 100 damage Megalo Cannon. Oh, man, what can Christopher do here?
He can switch. That is what Christopher can do. Christopher plays switch and passes the turn.
And now it's going to be up to Igor to find something to do here. We see some interesting cards in his hand. He does have a clever one as an escape rope. He could use that to force out the Yveltal EX, get a knockout on that. If he had a plasma energy, he could red signal and go for it, or he could just Emerald Slash again. Lots of options here.
If he has an escape rope, I think he just wants to do it.
And looks like, no, he's just going to be happy to promote this. Oh, Genesect EX. Looks like he was going to put down the escape rope, and now he realized, yeah, there's a little misstep there. He has to switch out his active Pokemon. He's already retreated, so he wouldn't have been able to get a knockout, but it might not matter.
Yeah, I believe he just got ahead of himself. He probably meant to play the escape rope earlier and kind of just that way switch out the Virizion with the Genesect, but he didn't do that, which means he's now going to be forced to deal damage to the Darkrai that way. And
man, this is going to be the turn. Does Christopher have anything to survive the turn? Will he have any base Pokemon? No, he's going to extend his hand, and Christopher Szymanski will fall to Igor Costa, our 2012 World Champion, making a run here once again in 2014.
Does that make him 7-1 going into the round 9?
I believe so.
Wow. Okay, Igor Costa is 7-1 going into round 9. He's not a lock for top 8, but I'm going to assume he's right up there. He's in contention for sure.
Yeah, he's definitely one of the top players at this event right now. Of course, there's all sorts of matches going on, but Igor has to feel great after that one, getting a big win on the stage in front of all of his fans. So, I mean, got to be on top of the world right now.
Oh, you have to be. He has been on top of the world before. We can't stress enough that just 2 years ago, I mean, almost to the day, Igor was on top of the world. He actually had everybody lose to him on that day and became the world champion.
Yeah, and I would love to see a repeat world champion. You know, we've only gotten to see that once before, and maybe Igor is making a run at the title again.
Exactly.